everybody's done ribs, but we're going to show you a way to do ribs here that'll knock people's socks off. They're great. They also taste good. We're going to start out with some wood chips in aluminum foil. We're going to make up our little packet of aluminum foil with wood chips inside. And those of you who've seen the show know what we're doing here. We're then going to poke a couple of holes in the top with a pen. We don't want to go through the bottom because that'll flame these up. But we're going to put this directly on the grill to give us some smoke while we're grilling. Now we got to replace the grill. We're going to let that start smoking while we finish preparation of the ribs. What we have here are some pork ribs that are marinating in a brine for 24 hours. Now this brine is really important because it really adds a lot of flavor to the ribs. The brine includes brown sugar, coarse salt, some warm water, your favorite beer, and the beer flavor is important here. Some lemon, some lime, and some olive oil. And what it does is it really tenderizes the meat and also gives it a nice flavor. Now we're going to cut the flap off the back of the ribs because this cooks very unevenly. It'll often burn. We can cook this separately. We just trim up the ends a bit. I try and take off some of the excess fat. Now fat on ribs is good because it'll burn off, but you want to get some of the excess off. Turn it over, do the same thing. Again, the excess fat is something we don't need. It's important to have a sharp knife. We'll leave this. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to put a rub on the ribs. Now lots of people put rubs on meat. We're actually going to put 2 rubs on. This is just the first one. And this rub consists of some summer savory, some garlic, some paprika, ground cloves, and brown sugar. And we're going to rub it right into the ribs. Mainly on the meat side, but we'll put some on the back side as well. That's how thick you want it. Put a little bit on the meatier side of the back. If you put it up here, it's really wasted because that's just the back of the bones. Turn it over once more. Oh, another sprinkle or two just for fun. Now we're going to put this on medium heat and we're going to cook it for about an hour, hour and a half. About halfway through that cooking time, we're going to pull it off. We're going to put some mustard on it and a second rub. You can see that we're starting to smoke from the packet. In the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to make up a barbecue sauce. We're going to start out with some ketchup. We're going to add some brown sugar. We're going to add some cane syrup. We're going to throw in some lime juice. This is a very citrusy sauce, but it's fantastic. We're going to add some lemon juice. We're going to add some grapefruit juice. Get the idea here? We're going to add some mango, some passion fruit, some orange, some pineapple. We'll stir that up a bit. We're going to let this cook for about half an hour or so at least, to reduce by about half, even 2/3, because we want a nice thick sauce. Now we're going to add some white pepper, some yellow mustard, a little bit of cayenne pepper just for a kick, a little salt, very little salt. I mean, we don't really put a salt in this, and some cumin for, again, just a little extra flavor. We'll stir this up, get it started. Now we'll put it on the grill on a hot burner. We're going to cook it a bit. We're going to add just a pinch of cornstarch to begin with. After we finish cooking, if it's not thick enough, we'll add the rest of the cornstarch. We want it to be able to coat the spoon. But right now we're going to let this sit. Turn down the burner to about medium. And like I say, we'll let it cook up for about 15-20 minutes and look at it and see how it's going. The ribs have been cooking for an hour and a half, but we've moved ahead. What we're going to do now is we're going to enhance them with a second rub, which people very seldom do. We put the ribs on aluminum foil because we're going to seal them in and put them back on the barbecue for another 20 minutes to half an hour. We start out with some yellow mustard. We put that on the ribs, a generous amount. Now we're going to just basically spread it all over the ribs. What the mustard does, it helps tenderize because there's acid in the mustard, but also it is a conduit so that the second rub that goes in the meat even further. The mustard will burn off, so there's not going to be a mustardy flavor to this at all. It'll just be a very sweet flavor because of the rub with just a little tang, because you've got a little cayenne pepper in the rub. Now here's our rub. It's brown sugar, a little cayenne pepper, and a little mustard, dry mustard. We'll mix it up. The cayenne pepper will be offset by the sugar, and the dry mustard flavor will just help the whole thing too. We don't want to put this too heavily on because there's already some brown sugar that was baked into the meat. But this is a recipe that I prepared for Bon Appetit, and they actually called me back and said they were some of the best ribs they'd ever had. So I want you guys to try this. It's a lot of effort, but I think it's worth it with the results. Now we're going to fold the ribs up. Fold them up. I'm going to seal it very tightly. And I put a double foil on there to make sure that we keep the moisture and the flavor inside. Seal it real well. Now we're going to put this on low heat again for 20 minutes to half an hour. Check my heat. We're all set. Come back and we'll have some incredible ribs for you. Now our ribs have been cooking for 2 hours, the last 20 minutes in foil. The sauce is nicely thickened. We're going to put a little sauce on the ribs. Just a little flavoring. We don't want to overpower it. We usually like to serve our sauce on the side. I mean, especially in this dish where we've put probably 20 different spices on here, we don't want to overpower it. Just a little accent, because the sauce is supposed to accent the ribs, not overpower them. I'm going to try these now.